Okay. Yes. The question raises, where is because see, I am here till basically February end. Okay, but the class how it goes is depends on the audience, and now we have to basically tell Nemani for this up to December. Okay, so question is, would you people be here and you want the class to go on till say middle of December or something like that, or you are going home? Huh? When? 14th. So that's okay. Until 14th we can have. Then we can by early January you have to be back. Am I right? So we can decide if you want to continue. Okay. A few days before. I doubt that I will finish even from the time constraints. I think that I will have trouble even finishing standard group theory, including Poincare group. Doesn't seem to have time. Okay, so at that time, depending on your interest, you can tell me, or even in January you can tell me. Okay, so I will tell Nemani to reserve the place till December 14th. Okay, then we will see. Okay, is that okay? If there are people, I will talk. Otherwise, it's okay. Whatever. Huh?
I won't be there for the next weeks, but you can continue.
You will not be here. When?
Next 2 weeks.
Next week.
Next week and next.
That day, next week is nowhere. Where are you going? To Kolkata. But you will be back before. But normally people break up by middle of December. At least second year students go home, I think. No.
Yeah. These people.
But these two will be here. So I will go till December 14th. Then we will make an assessment. Then or in January, and then you can. I will be here. Okay. In January I will be back on 6th. I had to go home for a few days, but first week of January I will be back. Okay. There will be visitors and many things will happen here. So last time what I did was, there was a small error I made in the Heisenberg algebra. You remember I wrote this as QP equal to E, etc. Okay. The real, so PP QQ is 0, and they generate the Heisenberg algebra. Then the representation is a quantum mechanical representation. Okay. But I forgot the i's. So to get this, let us see, T must be, I think, minus d over dx, which is minus with I wanted h bar, which is minus I times standard quantum mechanical momentum and Q is I times the position operator, I think. QP, I want to get Q is that right? IQ, yeah, and E is I times h bar. Okay. There are I's, I told you, this is the representation, but these operators will become anti-Hermitian operators when you go into a Hilbert space. Okay. And if you order, this is a quantum mechanical representation. Is given by this thing. Okay. And h bar now is, I mean, for different h bars you get different values of this E. Okay. Depending, and that is because E is a central element, and this h bar has a meaning that is classifying the representations. Okay. And by some theorems, these exhaust all representations of this particular algebra. Okay. that's the i's I was missing. Now today I promised, then we showed also that the Casimir invariance, okay, recall Casimir operators, okay, which I can call Cn, okay, which commute with all elements of the Lie algebra, okay, become Cn will become some constant lambda n times unit operator in an IRR, in an irreducible representation. The lambda n's, which are numbers, that follows from Schu's lemma, and the lambda n's classify the representations. So I want to go more deeply into this. Okay. Now, before I do that, I want to look at the following thing, more on adjoint representation. Let's write. Let me make a side definition. Simple Lie algebras. Algebra is simple, it's like a simple group. An algebra is simple okay, if there does not exist a subalgebra L0 commuting with all of L. Okay. So there does not exist L0, such that L0L is 0. Otherwise it is not simple. If it is semi-simple, so example, the Heisenberg algebra is not simple. Okay, because why is it not simple? The center, this is since L0, the invariant the subalgebra is simply all complex multiples of the center. It commutes with everything. Okay. The SU2 Lie algebra is simple. Okay. Now, it is a theorem, Karta, okay, is any simple, semi-simple Lie group has a simple, similarly semi-simple Lie algebra. Okay. Yeah, it's a semi-simple Lie group mod centers. Okay. So this we can put use universal cover. So there is no central element. Okay. I mean the central elements, discrete central elements, is irrelevant in this statement. Okay. For example, SO3 has a simple Lie algebra. So you can always go to the universal cover which does not have this discrete central elements, and then you can work with that. Yeah. This is a remark. Yeah. Now this is a side remark. That's because, and I introduced it because I want to look at the adjoint representation, more on the adjoint representation. So okay, let me call. Okay, so we have what we have got is given. Okay, the Lie algebra let me call it L. Okay. The adjoint representation okay, add, let me call it, okay, maps L in L to a linear operator add L on L by okay, add L acting on some L prime is a commutator of L with L prime. Okay. This is a linear combination of the L's. Okay. So if let us say what did I use here? Yeah, Li is a basis for L, then add Li acting on Lj, probably I should put a bracket here. Okay. So I am finding the matrix of Li in its own basis. This is the commutator of Li with Lj, okay, which by definition is Ckij Lk, but this can be written as Lk. Okay, I am finding the matrix of this D of Li Kj, where DLi is matrix of Li this is a definition of the matrix of add Li, matrix of this linear operator in this basis is defined by this equation. Okay. But we know from the Lie algebra structure that it is this, okay, implying okay, DLi JK Kj DLi K is Ckij. Okay. So the structure constants interpreted correctly, okay, is it to be thought of as a matrix in the Kj indices, provides for you a representation of the Lie algebra called the adjoint representation. Okay. By exponentiating, okay, the corresponding group representation, okay, which we can normally is called add, I think, okay, maps, okay, exponential, let's say T dLi, okay, T what's it, exponential TLI to, let me call it script D exponential TLI, which is exponential T dLi. As a matrix. Yep. Notice that add of exponential TLI acting on Lj is exponential TLI Lj exponential minus TLI. It acts by conjugation because this is the exponentiated map. So each term, say TLI will act with Li conjugating it. The square of it will conjugate it twice. Third will, they are all captured by this direct equation. So what we mean by the adjoint representation is the one where the group acts on its Lie algebra by conjugation. Okay. So this is important. Okay. And the important thing is that this equation is completely determined from Lie algebra properties. Okay. So this equation comes only, let me see, from Lie algebra properties. Yes, I have used nothing but Lie algebra. So starting from this adjoint representation of the Lie algebra here, so Lie algebra is acting on itself. By exponentiation, I get a representation of the Lie group, okay, which is called the adjoint representation of the Lie group. Okay. And the way it is acting is by conjugation. Okay. So we are getting this equation or this equation by conjugation. So we can write like this. Okay. It's even better to write add of exponential TLI Lj, okay, is in fact Lk times this matrix Kj. So this is my matrix script D exponential TLI. Yes. Okay. So this matrix I have written here is this matrix here, and what I want to emphasize is that this equation here None of this involve anything specific except Lie algebra and commutation relations. So if I evaluate this equation in any representation, it is still true. Okay. Since we use only Lie algebra properties, to get this equation, call it 1, okay. It is valid in any representation. Okay. Let me give you examples so you know what I am talking about. Okay. Let us look at example A. Let us take SO3 rotation group. Okay. Then in the spin 1, this is the Lie algebra representation is, okay, the Lie algebra is spanned by the 3 angular momentum operators. Let me call it L1. Okay. So remember L1 I jk was minus I epsilon I jk. Okay, I am using the Hermitian form, so there are i's floating around. Never mind. Okay. Now this equation, suppose I take IT Li1 Lj1 exponential IT minus IT Li1. So I am computing the action by conjugation in spin 1 representation. So it will be some matrix Lk1, multiple commutators. So it will be the rotation matrix, okay, of this matrix exponential T Li IT Li1 Kj. This is a rotation matrix by rotation around axis I by an amount T. But if I had done the same thing in SU2, where, okay, the Li's become sigma i's. So if you look at exponential I T sigma I, sigma j, I should be careful, sigma I over 2, sigma j, the half I can put, but it cancels out, minus IT sigma I over 2. Okay, you will get this matrix here. So this is sigma k d of exponential T Li 1 k j. The spin 1 representation is adjoint representation for SO3. Okay, I think I said that before. Yeah, I should say, note. Since Li Lj is I epsilon ijk Lk, this we know. From the form of Li1 from form of Li1 we see that j equal to 1 representation irreducible unitary irreducible is the adjoint representation of SO3 of SU2. SU2 and SO3 will have the same adjoint representation, okay, because they have the same Lie algebra. Okay. SU2 and SO3 have the same Lie algebra. It is a Lie algebra which defines the adjoint representation. So they all will share the same adjoint. I mean, Lie algebras are the same. Okay. Note. So maybe I should say all Lie groups with same universal cover have the same Lie algebra, have the same Lie algebra, and hence adjoint representation. Okay. Is that clear? Huh? I forgot to say, it's clear, no? This is by way of preliminary. These are universal properties shared by the adjoint representation. This representation for a Lie algebra level always exists. Okay? For a Lie group level also, in finite dimensional Lie algebras, there is no problem. It always exists. Okay? But it may not be unitary. For example, if I do this for some non-compact group, I will come to that. The representation you get will not be unitary. Okay? For a non-compact group, the matrix you get will not be a self-adjoint operator or anti-self-adjoint operator. So if you exponentiate it, you will not get a unitary operator. Okay? But the thing exists. But in the infinite dimensional case, very often the Lie algebra can be written down, but when you try exponentiating it, you may get, it may not exist. Okay? Things may start diverging. That depends on the problem. Okay, one has to. That is one of the big problems in representation theory. Okay. But for us, this is correct. But this preliminary was done to tell you about something very important, namely the Cartan killing form. It is a metric, is something like a metric. Okay. The way maths people will write it is, okay, it is a bilinear form. It is a symmetric bilinear form on L. I will give you explicitly on the Lie algebra, okay, defined by I think usually written as G, on L defined by G L L prime. The bilinear symmetric bilinear form is simply trace okay, of add L add of L prime. Okay, I will show you explicitly, but this is non-degenerate. Let us say if Li is a basis for L, okay. So if L is a base, then is this object G Ij is defined to be trace of add Li add Lj. So it's an explicit matrix. What happened to him? Okay. So this is a metric. Now I will show you some remarkable property of this object, okay, and from there infer that this G is non-degenerate if and only if the Lie algebra is simple or semi-simple. If the Lie algebra, this is a basic criterion that this G is non-degenerate, it has an inverse if and only if the Lie algebra under question is simple or semi-simple, okay. And in that case you can invert it and use it literally as presume as a metric. May not be a positive definite, it may be pseudo, it may have pluses and minuses, okay, but it will be invertible. So the important property I wanted to show you is the following, okay. Let S be the element of the group, be the element of the associated group, okay, call it G0, from which L comes, okay. We have seen that up to central these discrete elements, okay, or you can take the universal cover, the Lie algebra on exponentiation gives you Lie group, and conversely the Lie group gives you Lie algebra. So let me call this G0. Then let me look at the following trace of, okay, I can do the following, okay, I can take add S okay, add S acts on, well, again best add S, then I have written here add Li, right, add S, it's not a good idea, yeah, let me write it comes set add S Li as Lj script d S Ji. And think of the following, okay, let me write Gij, let me write it in the matrix form, is trace of dLi dLj, but these are the matrices. I introduce a notation or the, so add Li or have these matrices in the basis we have chosen. So I write it in terms of the matrices. The reason is then I can do everything quite explicitly. Is equal to trace d of S, okay, dLi d of S inverse, then I can write d of S dLj d of S inverse. But then by the property of the d, what it does here, so it will become equal to d of s, let us say ki, d of s Lj times g of I, g of kl. Yes. Yes. So G, it is by called, so G is an invariant tensor, is a symmetric bilinear form which is invariant, what we call invariant tensor, where rotate both the indices with the group element does not change. Okay. Okay. Huh? I will show you that this is non-degenerate, provided the group is simple. Otherwise it is not, if the group is simple. Now, G with elements Gij, okay, is real symmetric. It's real because it is a real because okay, this L being real, a real algebra, these matrices, this ds Ij is real. Remember that the commutation relations, okay, where is it? This equation Li Lj is Lk ds, d of Li k Lj k j, right? It is a real algebra. So it should close with only with real coefficients. Okay. So these are real. These being real, it's what I have got. This is not d of s. It should be d of Li. Jk is real. Okay. This is real. Okay. So is that script d by exponentiation. But this is real. So if this being real, and g is this, for sure G is real. It is symmetric by inspection. So G is Hermitian, right? It is a real symmetric matrix. So G is diagonal G, and it can be diagonalized anyway. This is okay. This now suppose G is degenerate, okay, so that there exists psi not equal to 0 such that, okay, psi I Gij psi j is 0. So it has a 0 eigenvector. Okay. Suppose it is the case. Actually you can diagonalize G, and I am just looking at one eigenvector with 0 eigenvalue. Then I go back to this equation here, which says 0, which is psi I Gij psi j, and I look here and it says this ds, okay, psi, right, k g k l ds psi L by contracting here. I contracted this index, yeah. What is this say this? What is the meaning of this? This is also null, implying ds psi, okay, is also has 0 eigenvalue for G, okay. So the sector 0 eigenvectors is invariant by the group action. So the set of eigenvectors with 0 eigenvalue is invariant by the adjoint representation, by the add okay, and hence the group representation, and hence by the small add representation. Okay. Set of the subspace, let's write L0. Say a subspace. I have proved it from the group here. You make an infinitesimal expansion. I mean, the group element, I can go to the infinitesimal form, okay, using one parameter subgroups. This will remain invariant. This equation is true for all S. So it is invariant. So I got a subspace of invariant vectors, okay, in the Lie algebra. This implies what? L commutes with L0. Right? By the adjoint action, the subspace is invariant. What does it mean? That means that the algebra is not, there is an invariant subspace, so the algebra is not semi-simple. Okay, because the semi-simplicity said that there is no such invariant subalgebra. Okay, if I said if a simple case, for semi-simplicity it is each.
What is semi-simple algebra? Groups? It's
Semi-simple Lie algebra is simply the direct sum of Lie algebras, of simple Lie algebras. A semi-simple Lie algebra is the direct sum of simple Lie algebras. Okay, or yeah, this that is the best way to say it. A semi-simple, or you have to say like we did in the case of groups. The problem with this I am less sure, because there are all these nilpotent algebras and so on. Nilpotent algebras are not. No, I don't. At this moment, I don't want to say that. But for sure, I can say that a semi-simple Lie algebra is the direct sum of simple Lie algebras. That's what I wrote here. Okay. Because in the Lie algebra case, there are lot of Lie algebras which are nilpotent. That is, if you take this L, you take multiple commutators, there is take L, okay, acting on L, you may get 0. Okay, it will go away, okay, after a while, okay. It's like this Jordan decomposition. If you make a triangular matrices, okay, upper triangular matrices. So if you go on commuting, they will. This kind of thing is not simple, okay. It's not abelian. The algebra is not abelian, okay. But it is not simple. Simple means that there are no invariant subalgebras, okay. Invariant abelian. What did I say? Invariant abelian subalgebras. Okay. So I am little hesitant to say that semi-simple means. What did you say?
Abelian invariant subalgebra.
A simple algebra has no invariant subalgebra.
Yeah.
I am little hesitant to say that a semi-simple algebra has no invariant abelian subalgebra. Okay, but I am sure that it is not. It is a direct sum of simple algebras. Okay, because this kind of thing I don't know. I don't want to think on my feet. I may say the wrong thing. Okay. This kind of thing happens if you study things like coherent states. You must be familiar with coherent states. This kind of thing happens for Lie groups. These coherent states are important. Okay, for in the group theoretical context, then this kind of thing comes. So I am not sure what happens. There are these Borel subalgebras and so on, upper triangular matrices. Okay, so we'll come to it later. So in the cases if it is simply direct sum or simple, then the statements I am making are correct. Okay? And what I have proved is that the metric is degenerate means that the Lie algebra is not semi-simple and the converse is trivial. If it is semi-simple, you can easily show that G is non-degenerate. Okay? The converse is trivial, okay, because of this problem. Converse is easy to prove. Okay, that converse means basically it means in the adjoint representation there are no null vectors. There is a best one way to say what do I mean by a semi-simple Lie algebra is that in the adjoint representation there are no eigenvectors with 0 eigenvalue. Okay. For any element of the Lie algebra. Okay. Okay. So that's not correct. There is no the correct way to say there are no invariant subspaces. That's the correct. Not for single elements. So to prove the converse, I have to prove that there are no invariant subspaces in the adjoint representation. If that is the case, you can run this proof backwards and show that G has no 0 eigenvector. Okay, that is the correct way to say. Okay, so all this thing is to show that G has an inverse. So we go back to this equation we had. Okay, okay. And we look. Assume, okay, L is semi-simple, okay. Now then we have this equation G is that equation I wrote down here. And I want to get the indices right. D of S transpose G D of S. No, it's not right. D of S transpose. Yes. So I take the inverse G inverse, which is DFS inverse G inverse DFS transpose inverse. Okay. Now I want to see, so I want to look at, consider this object. Let me call it C2, which is G inverse Ig trace add Li add Lg. Huh? I want to show that this object here I'm trying to get the, yeah, no, this one right. Wait a minute, I made a mistake. This is a number, LILG. Sorry, this should be elements of the Lie algebra itself. I want to show that the C2 is a quadratic Casimir. If I put the add, you get number. I'm not interested in numbers. Okay. Claim is that claim. C2 is quadratic Casimir. So you can see why I call this a metric. Okay. So for that we look at the following. For C2 is an operator and these are Lie algebra elements. Okay. So what I will do is I will take S C2 S inverse, which is G inverse Ij. Then I will be conjugating this one. Okay. So I will get script D of S K I script D of S L J L K L L. Yes. So now I transfer this object here to this object to G, but I want to get the indices correct. So this is equal to D of S, this is a Ki, right, okay, G inverse J D of S transpose, okay, and I can write this as Ij Lilj. I change the indices, I put this here, this one, I get a K going with this K, yeah, then second index will be this L, which has but the wrong position, so I put a transpose and I wrote this. But this is, by this equation, this is equal to C2 by 2 with S going to S inverse. This equation is true for all S. Well, yeah, so this is D of S inverse, right? This is D of S inverse, and this is D of S inverse transpose, but it's true for all S, so I just replace S by S inverse. Okay. So G inverse is invariant, so this object is again G inverse. So what has happened is, this object is, this C2 is a quadratic, it doesn't change. Okay. So we have got an expression for the quadratic Casimir operator involving the metric.
By 2.
Huh?
So the C2 is by 2. Which is the second
by 2, this equation. The reason why I will not get this invariance unless G is invertible. You will find things coming in the wrong order. Okay? So the use of the fact that G is invertible has been an important ingredient in getting the quadratic Casimir. So this kind of thing exists, quadratic Casimir operators exist only for semi-simple Lie groups. For example, if you ask what is a Casimir operator for the Heisenberg group, does not exist. Okay? It is not, it is degenerate, you can work it out. Okay? In fact, the adjoint representation, what is adjoint representation for the Heisenberg group is something very strange, right? Well, E goes to 0. The adjoint representation, E commutes with everything. So the matrix of E is 0, right? So if you write this G as a 3 by 3 matrix, okay, it will be very strange. Okay? Heisenberg, what will it be? G is a 3 by 3 matrix because it is 3 dimensional. So it will be 0, 1, minus 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. It may be this H bar. Right? QP, PQ, the rest is 0. So determinant is 0. G is not invertible. It has no quadratic Casimir. In fact, it has no Casimir. Okay. So next time I will work this out for SU2 and look at SU3 and show you how the same idea actually gives you all the Casimirs. Okay. Because of the availability of the metric, you can start contracting things in a suitable way. And you can construct more and more Casimirs. Okay. In fact, you can get all the nth order Casimirs this way. Okay. And anyway, this metric on the Lie group plays an absolutely important role. I mean, if you do quantum field theory, there are all these models based on groups, group fields, fields which are valued in groups, nonlinear sigma models, all these sigma models of string theories are of this character, and there you necessarily get the metric on the group, okay, in writing the Lagrangian or the Hamiltonian. Okay. They are called harmonic maps and so on. Anyway, you necessarily get this matrix on the group. Okay. So the role of the G is very similar to the role of the corresponding metric in Riemannian geometry. In fact, its role is that it is what it is. It is the metric or the tangent space of the Lie group at the identity, okay, which is invariant by the group action. So this equation here, these equations I am writing is showing why do I conjugate like this. The conjugation is the identity of the group invariant, right? So it keeps the point of the group fixed. So it acts on the tangent space without moving that point. Okay. So Lie group, you have got some sphere or something. You have some point, and I am doing some activity which leaves that point invariant. Okay. So it will act on the tangent space, and the metric which is telling you how to take scalar products on the tangents is invariant by this action. That is what the meaning of these statements is. And such an invariant metric exists only for simple and semi-simple Lie groups. Okay. So we will continue with this. Then very soon I will do SU2 completely. That is a representation theory of SU2, unless you did it in quantum mechanics. Did you? Lie group, Lie, did you do Lie algebra representations of SU2, angular momentum? No.
So we did the SU2 using the Schwinger oscillator.
Huh?
The Schwinger oscillator.
Oscillator.
Yeah, we used the Schwinger representation.
And you
construct all
A degree.
yeah.
A degree sigma A.
Yeah.
But did you find all the matrix elements, everything, or no?
Yeah.
Of L1, L plus J minus J0.
Yeah.
You found all that. Okay. You found that. So I will just assume that and show irreducibility. Okay. Okay, then I will go on to tensor methods. Okay, tensor methods for finding representations, which is of very wide applicability, also for SUN. So we will do that. Okay.